Have you ever woke up confused, unfulfilled, and to be blunt, not sure where the hell you fit into life? Guys, I've been there more times than I can count. And to be completely honest with you, that's where I've been most of the fourth quarter of 2023. And I'm going to tell you that once these feelings start to settle in, it takes a lot of work to shake them off. You have come to the realization that you aren't living up to your potential, but even worse, you don't even know how. Welcome to the show. My name's Steve Baumgartner. I'm your host and founder of the Fire Forged Leader podcast. And the mission of this show is to serve the audience through leadership strategies on three primary battlefronts. Those battlefronts are simply the workplace, out in the community, and the most important one, the one with self and family. Now let's get into it.
Leaders are not born in a womb. They are forged through heat, pressure, and a whole lot of sweat. The Fire Forged Leader podcast serves the audience through exploring leadership at work, in the community, and with the family, using a practical perspective and real-life experiences from the host, Steve Baumgartner, and his guests in The Forge. Now, it's time to enter the Forge with the Fire Forged Leader.
It's the start of the new year, and the gym is packed. Everyone is on this mission of new year, new me. Like it's something you can just say and start doing. But people really believe this. These same people somehow think that since January 1st hit, something's going to be profoundly different about their lives. These are the same people who said that they were going to do this exact same thing last year on social media. They get a ton of likes. Everybody's clapping. Everyone's supportive. And these people go out and go hard at it for a week. Maybe 2 weeks. Maybe 3 weeks. And then when they fail, right? When they fail, they want to blame everybody else. They want to blame the people at the gym. I saw all sorts of posts today. All sorts of posts. Don't be that person at the gym who makes someone else fail. Nobody can make you fail. All right? So here's what really happens. The praise and the support of these people dwindles, right? It fades off. And as that fades off, so does this person's motivation, because they are totally externally motivated rather than intrinsically motivated. So eventually they quit and they go through these rationalizations that I was talking about, that they don't have time, or it's not working, or someone at the gym, bumped into them the wrong way or looked at them wrong or whatever. The excuses just fly. Now, here's what the real problem is. The real problem is they lack purpose in their life. And when you lack purpose, you lack discipline. Now, you all know me. I've been working on myself for quite a few years now. But I want to tell you that I hit a hard wall, a very hard wall during this last quarter of 2023. It was hard for me to continue doing things that I needed to be doing. It was hard for me to be a husband. It was hard for me to be a father. It was hard for me to be a leader at work. And my engagement with this platform started to dwindle. And that led a few of you to even notice that, I was dropping off the radar. My engagement was dropping on social media. And I actually had a few of you reach out and call me out on this. Ask me what was going on. And I appreciate that, by the way. Now, after doing some reflection, I'm going to tell you that it wasn't an issue of me being lazy, and it wasn't an issue of that it was a date on a calendar. It had nothing to do that it was the end of the year, and I had this whole mindset of new year, new me. I can dick off till then, right? Now, what I will tell you is that it was 100% because I was misaligned on my purpose. All right? So you're probably thinking to yourself, how the hell do you become misaligned on your purpose? Well, in the last couple of years, I left my career that I have been chasing most of my adult life. All right? I wanted to be this huge name in reliability and maintenance. And to be frank, I wasn't a huge name, but I was a pretty big name. And I started a totally new career that, to be frank, I don't have the same level of passion for. All right, why did you do that, Steve? Why don't you just go back into your old passion? Well, because I also want to be with my wife and kids, and my old career did not afford me with that. If I could find somewhere to make the two intersect, I would definitely go for it. However, I've been using that for an excuse not to be passionate about what I'm doing now, because I am passionate about leadership. It doesn't have to do with what that career's pointed at. I can still be passionate about leadership. All right, let me get back on track here. I also found a huge mission in the anti-trafficking series that I put together. And when that came to an end, I really was at a loss for ideas on this show. Where do I go next? What do I do now? And it just, I don't know, it was tough for me. It was very tough. And then this podcast started to plateau in growth. And that hit me really hard. And it hit me hard enough to where I actually thought about shutting this thing down. Does it really matter? Why isn't it growing? Why is it actually losing numbers? I'm not going to get deep into it, but what I will tell you through all of this is that my purpose was really tied into externals. The externals of affirmation, the externals of the tasks or objectives. But it wasn't tied into what is Steve's mission in life. So what my vision really lacked was, what's Steve's purpose? What's Steve's mission? So why is it important? Why is it important to know your mission? Many people are left with this question, right? Why am I here? What am I doing here? What's my purpose? What's my mission in life? And many of them who have this question, I'll tell you, resort to saying things like, I'm not sure I'm ever going to know what that is. Or, I guess I'll find out when I meet God. Then I'll know my purpose. Maybe there's no sort of purpose to life. Maybe we just are. Come on, people. As those things came out of my mouth, you had to hear the level of bullshit that was tied to each one of them. Every single one of us knows it. We simply don't want to have to take that hard of a look at ourselves. We don't want to put in the work, or we simply just don't know how to find our own purpose, to find out what our mission is. To get over that hard stumble, let's start off with the reason why. For me, if I know what my purpose is, I know my mission. And knowing my mission brings me my sense of meaning and fulfillment. I don't wake up with those thoughts about what's the use? What's it all for? Where do I fit into the world? I know. And it brings me that meaning. It brings me that fulfillment. It gives me the intrinsic motivation and passion that I need to move forward. It helps with my well-being. It guides my decisions. I'm able to focus on things and be very productive. I can make a positive impact on others. And I can build great, meaningful relationships through my purpose. So you're probably asking at this point, if you haven't shut it off yet, right? But you're probably asking, how do we find our purpose, right? It's not just written in some book somewhere that we can go look it up. Guys, it doesn't have to be that hard. Now, I am going to throw in a warning before I get started on this. I know that I have people who are believers, Christian believers. I know that I have some other faiths out there, and I also know that I have non-believers that listen to this podcast. Now, I don't think I've withheld any information. You all know that I'm a believer. So as I walk down through this, there's a lot of times that I'm talking about faith, and that's because it's important to me. Now, you don't have to get triggered by it. What I do encourage you to do is, as you listen, if it doesn't apply to you, simply change this process to what makes sense. So here's the steps that I used just yesterday, and I'm going to get pretty vulnerable in all this. I started out with prayer and meditation on who I am. Now, be careful with this, right? Because a lot of times, who we believe we are is tied to external motivation, right? So men are horrible about this, right? Who are you? Well, I'm a plant manager, or I'm a maintenance technician, or and it ties back to their job. But there's no difference when we say things like, I'm a husband. Is that really your identity? I don't think so. That could end. That's not who you are. Ooh, that makes it harder, don't it? And this is really how I identify not what I do, not what I want, or what I want to do. And as we start taking away all these pieces, right? All that I was left with in my answer is something that's eternal. For me, it's eternal. My answer is simply, I am the beloved child of God. Now, I also want to state that I struggle with this identification all the time. I do not feel worthy of this title. But it's also something that I really want to identify with. And I know to be true logically. All right, enough about that. What does this mean? All right, it's easy. It's easy for me to say that I am the beloved child of God. But what does it mean? Let's cut through the bullshit now and ask the question, what does that mean? So here's what I came up with. First, greatness. All right, greatness. I'm going to say it again. And a lot of people in faith circles, in my opinion, totally believe the wrong thing. They think that we're supposed to be in the background. People not know our names. We're giving all the glory to God. Yes, we're supposed to give glory to God. But let me ask you this question. If I am a child of God, if I truly believe that, how can I be anything less than great? Why do I chain myself with religion when faith tells me that I am something greater than everything else out there because I am a child of the Almighty? I am part of that bloodline. Argue with me? You're wrong. Anyways, the second thing is integrity, right? I am the way, the truth, and the life, right? Integrity is synonymous with truth in so many aspects. As a child of God, I must live in that truth. Next one is purpose. God did not create us to Netflix and chill. That's not what our purpose is. He created each and every one of us to be a person of purpose. Now, sometimes that is actually I'm going to give you a very specific example. My wife has found her purpose very holy, and it's with being a wonderful, God-fearing mother and wife. And it is the most important thing to her to be these things. And my purpose is not that. My purpose, I'll get into it later, but my purpose is something with a broader stroke. It's no better. It's no worse. It just is. It's different. The next piece is boldness. Now, I want to talk about what this means with boldness. I often look at paintings of Jesus, and I look at these paintings and go, why? Why in the world was this tremendous man painted weak or like a woman? And by the way, I'm not saying that those are the same things. But a lot of times he's like weak-limbed and this, that, and the other. Other times he's painted like a woman with a beard. And those are two different things. And he's totally emasculated in many, many paintings. But Jesus was not weak. He was strong and bold. And for me to be a child of God, Jesus is that example for me on this earth. I also must be free. God and Jesus, like many times throughout history in the Bible, have asked for people to give up everything and follow them. They want us to be free so that we can focus on our mission. And that's what, for me, for financially and all my vices. And then connection. We weren't meant to live in isolation. And my father has been a tremendous example of this. He meets people where they are. And to me, that is a very divine example that he's shown to me. because Jesus dined with the ones considered lowly or sinful. And an example that I want to use of what not to do is Westboro Baptist Church. I don't think they've ever converted a soul. That's my belief. Even though they're bold in their message, they aren't meeting people where they are. Do they believe a lot of the same things that I believe? Yes. Are their methods worth repeating? Absolutely not. All right, so the next place that we got to look at is we need to choose the battlefields that we conduct our mission on. The first one for me is faith. The first battlefield is faith. I need to grow in my faith and my knowledge of my faith. I don't want to be known as the black sheep of the family, right? I want to live out the fullness of being a child of God. I want to live out my purpose. And to do that, I need to understand where I come from. I need to understand my lineage. The next one is the battlefield of the mind. The war is fought in the mind. We talked about it before, right? The way that I choose to love myself or hate myself is all happening up here. And that really drives all of my actions. I am consumed with negative thoughts frequently, people. It happens all the time. However, if I choose to love myself like Jesus does, I'm going to drive Satan out of my mind and replace it with that love. The next battlefield is the temple of the body. Now, to be able to bring an impact throughout my entire life, I need to be fit to do that. I need to be able to stand upright. I need to be able to talk. I need to be able to do these things. I need to be able to be witness to my children and to my wife. It's hard to do that from a place of being disabled. The next battlefront is family. I've talked about it before, but I need to set this divine example for others through my marriage. I need to set it for my children, my grandchildren, and really to anybody in my family. And that extends beyond the earthly bloodlines. The battlefield of finance. Now, a lot of people say when you give everything up, right, you should give away all your money, your houses, your cars. I don't know if that's really what they're saying. What about if I free myself from the bondage, the burdens of the financial aspects? What they really want me to do is to focus on the mission, on the higher mission. Not about how to get more product out of my plant. And then we get to this aspect that is similar, but not the same, but freedom. And finance and freedom could be intertwined, but I wanted to be very specific on this. I need to be free of vices, and I need to turn these vices into virtues. Now, you can take that vice and virtue language out of there, if you're not Christian. This is no different than stop spending your money wildly and change putting that extra money that you're going out to eat every day into investments. It's just more values driven than financially. And then finally, service. How do I serve others? On each one of these battlefields I wrote in detail. I wrote these things in detail to see what they truly mean to me in one paragraph. Now, this gets kind of long. It gets kind of scary. You start really thinking about your decisions, right? But you have to put in the work if you want to be successful. So don't skip this part. There's no shortcut. Look at these battlefields. What does it mean to be successful in each one of them? Now, the last part of this, the last step, is let's write out our mission using the key words and phrases that really hit home during this introspective work. And I'm going to read you mine. All right. And this is still a work in progress. But I want to read you mine. I, Steve Baumgartner, the beloved child of the Almighty, have been intentionally placed on this earth to be a great impact on others through leading my wife and children to heaven, using my life as an example to lead others, and lastly, by choosing to be exceptional. Now, I follow that up with actions that I must take to fulfill my mission. So those actions are understand and study my faith. I must live my faith out. I must love myself as Jesus loves me, both emotionally and spiritually. And then I need to provide a well-maintained body, aka the temple. I need to live a biblical marriage. And then I need to set that example of this divine marriage and divine fatherhood. I need to set that example to others. I must remove these chains of debt. I need to work on turning my vices into virtues. And then finally, build my platform. We can do all this stuff for ourselves, but until we start doing for others, we're still lost. So if you took all these steps, I'm going to tell you right now, if it didn't take you a day or better, you probably didn't dig too deep. But it's well worth the work that you put in. I can tell you that. So after doing this work, I don't need an external motivating source. I know what my mission is. I know what I've been created for. Anything less than that is unacceptable. So after this, what's next, right? How do you put that to action? Well, I have that list of actions I must take. Those are pretty broad. So now what I'm doing is I'm putting it into a chart. And it's broken up into 20 year, 10 year, 5 year, 3 year, 1 year, and by the quarter. And what I'm going to do is take those items and build up a 20-year vision that's going to be like looking out into the distance. It's going to be kind of fuzzy. You can't really see it with any great clarity. And I'm going to break that down into what does that look like at 10 years. And it's going to get a little bit clearer, but not a lot. And then I'm going to break it down into 5, and it's going to get more clear. And then down into 3, where it's going to start, being on the horizon. And then by the time that I get to what I'm doing in 2024, it's going to be crystal damn clear. And then quarter, it's going to be direct actions on how to make that happen by the end of 2024. So that's the next step in this process. So basically what I'm doing is building a business plan for my life. Now, how could I fail by the end of January when I'm plotted out for the next 20 years? Will it all work out like I plan it? No, absolutely not. But I can tell you what will happen if I don't plan it out. I'm going to be like every other person out there who does the new year, new me stuff. And I don't want to be that person. I'm done with that person. So leaders, you have come here to listen to this message once again. But listening is not enough. What are you going to apply in your life from this episode, this week, this month, and this year? When you become a better leader, you become a better spouse, a better parent, a better coworker, and ultimately that person that others want to follow. Guys, if you appreciate what you heard here today, I invite you to leave a rating and review and smash that subscribe button on whatever podcasting app you're currently listening to. Continue to join us here in the Forge as we bring you lessons learned on the front lines of leadership.
You have just experienced the heat and pressure of the Forge. Remember, words without action are meaningless. Now, after the heat of the Forge, shape your thoughts, quench your brain, then put your new tools to use, adding to your leadership. Tune in next week for more lessons from the Forge.